Alrighty, if you'll notice I have my Friedman is my homeboy t-shirt on. Let's see, you can read that. Friedman is my homeboy. Yeah, even though he's not an Austrian economist, felt he was a great influence, and I guess kind of inspired me to learn some more economics. So, still a huge influence to this day, even if I don't adhere completely to neoclassical economics. Alright, well this video is going to be me just reading a short essay I did for a class one time on the economics of climate change. It's for my environmental and natural resource economics class, and I'll just read it as I wrote it, as I typed it up, as is, no changes to it. I mean, if I see a grammatical error, I might, since I'm going to be reading out loud, just change it. But the work cited will be in the description for this video. And for what it's worth, I got a B on the paper, so obviously there's room for improvement. And I posted on Facebook, and just going to read the exact same thing that was posted there. Here goes. Economics of climate change. The science of global warming is that Earth is warmed by what are called greenhouse gases, which trap heat inside the atmosphere. Such gases are things like carbon dioxide, methane, water, and some others. These gases cause a blanketing effect that keep warmth inside Earth's atmosphere. That being said, clouds do exert an effect similar to that of greenhouse gases. However, this effect is offset by their reflectivity, such that, on average, clouds tend to have a cooling effect on climate. As well, according to the IPCC, that's an Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, if I remember correctly. According to the IPCC, while it was not possible to detect anthropogenic warming in 1980, Madden and Ramathan and Hansen et al. Predicted it would be evident at least within the next 2 decades. A decade later, Wigley and Raper used a simple energy-balanced climate model to show that the observed change in global mean surface temperature from 1867 to 1982 could not be explained by natural internal variability. The Environmental Protection Agency website states that the 8th warmest year on record since 1850, the 8 warmest years on record since 1850 have all occurred since 1998, with the warmest year being 2005. And if greenhouse gases continue to increase, climate models predict that the average temperature at the Earth's surface could increase from 3.2 to 7.2 degrees Fahrenheit, above 1990 levels by the end of this century. It's clear that global climate change is a concern and that something should be done about it. The real issue is when and how it should be addressed, given that we live in a world of scarce resources and that we want to maximize human welfare with these scarce resources. Bjorn Lomborg, director of the Copenhagen Consensus Center, acknowledges not only that the environmental problem of global warming, but the economic problem as well. He states in a recent article, estimates show that the cost in terms of adaptation would be less than 1% of global GDP. In other words, the price of unchecked global warming may be high, but it is not infinite, which is important when discussing what action should be taken. Costs should be weighed against the benefits. Focusing on only one side, no matter which one it is, will give a skewed view and may encourage actions that are less than optimal. Lomborg continues, according to the best global warming economic models, every ton of carbon dioxide that we put into the atmosphere now will do about $7 worth of damage to the environment. What this means is that we should be prepared to pay an awful lot to stop global warming, but anything more than $7 a ton would be economically indefensible. In an interview on the Bloomberg channel, Bjorn mentions that the panel of economists, including 3 Nobel laureates, came to the conclusion that the best way to deal with global warming would be cloud whitening, with climate engineering, and toward the bottom of the list was a carbon tax. Let's see. At the site he refers to in the interview, cloud whitening is at the top of the list of things that could be done to mitigate global warming, meaning it's one of the most effective. Excuse me. This whitening would make clouds reflect more light and could be done by, quote, spending no more than $5.8 billion, and that climate engineering might be able to achieve as much for the planet as carbon cuts at a fraction of the cost. And this is found at Fix the Climate website. Another thing Lomborg mentions in the interview is that investing in green technology to make it less expensive is the way to go. This is a basic economic concept. Lowering the marginal cost of a substitute, in this case the green technology, substitute for fossil fuels, makes the switch point earlier. Tom Tittenberg and Lynn Lewis's textbook points out the total marginal cost of the first resource would rise over time until it equals that of the second resource at the time of transition. Lowering the cost of the substitute means that the time of transition is sooner, since marginal cost rises over time and the optimal time of transfer occurs when the two have the same marginal cost. In this case, the two fuel sources, one being fossil fuel and one being what we'll just sort of call green technology as a whole. In conclusion, there is global climate change. There is global climate change occurring. Earth's global temperature is getting warmer, and humans are causing it to happen more than it otherwise would. Even if humans were not the source of global warming, the concerns and costs that climate change raise are legitimate issues. According to the Copenhagen Consensus Center, which called in a panel of economists working based on the science of climate change, the most efficient things we can do are cloud whitening and investing in research and development to make green technology less expensive. The cloud whitening could help us deal with the next century of global warming, and making green technology less expensive would cause the time of transition to green technology to be sooner than it otherwise would be. Since we discount the future, taking both time and cost into account are things that have been addressed and that should be remembered when looking at climate change policy in the future, or any policy for that matter. The goal is not to mitigate global warming at all costs, but to mitigate it while factoring in the costs so as to maximize net benefits.